Hello, welcome to another episode of the I Am Jen Wilson, the Healing Rebel podcast. And today I have my wonderful friend Lisa McCabe with me, and we are going to talk about all the things that we can do to help your dog.
Yes.
So, Lisa, let's introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello, so I'm Lisa from Whole Dog Care, and I am I suppose a natural dog therapist. I help dogs live their best lives, whilst reducing the amount of toxins that goes into their bodies. So I do things with essential oils, Reiki, herbs, massage, all that sort of stuff. All the really nice things that can help dogs look after their health, but without the toxins that are going into their bodies.
And before we were recording, you were talking about sort of how you're going to sort of brand that and package it.
Yeah, so my brother, he does, he's a football coach and he goes to America during the summer when our season's closed, and he was watching my TikTok videos with his co-workers and they had said, what is it your sister does? And Joe being Joe was just like, I don't know, she's a dog witch. And it was just that off the cuff kind of was like, actually, that is what I am, that's what I do. And through like loads of research and study and stuff like that, but yeah, witches aren't what they were, like back in the day when they used to get burnt at the stake and all of that sort of stuff. They're basically people who work with nature, work with natural ingredients, work with incense, all the stuff that I do. So yeah, I suppose I am the dog witch, which is amazing because it gives me something to tell people, because when I say to people I'm a holistic therapist for dogs, they're a bit like, all right, what does that do? But when I've been speaking to people recently about, the whole kind of dog witch thing, people totally get it. They're like, yeah, you work with herbs, you do massage, and people totally understand what it means. So yeah, that's rebranding into that. Going to be, although we're still whole dog care, going to be, rather than saying I'm a holistic therapist, we're going to be the dog witch, which is just fabulous.
It sounds so much more interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I think
it's a talking point.
Yeah, and which in the last 5-10 years is we're reclaiming that term as witches.
Yes.
As this is not a bad thing to be. It used to be spun out to people as an insult based on the fact that witches used to get burned because they were allegedly the bad people in the town.
Totally.
It's like I've been listening to the Witches of Scotland podcast and listening, and the women who were getting burns generally were completely innocent of any wrongdoing. Yes, they might have worked with herbs. Yes, they might have done things to help people heal, but they weren't bad people. They weren't.
It's the same as like in the past as well, like midwives who did things naturally, like, suppose when medicine first kind of came to the fore, it was the men who were the doctors and the women who were the midwives and helping women naturally and stuff like that. They were treated like witches as well, because it was this whole kind of, you must have a man there and you must have this medical intervention, when quite a lot of the times women know their bodies, and other women knew their bodies as well, so they were helping the women to deliver the children. So yeah, they were very much treated like that too. But I think now there seems to be this shift of us going back to wanting to use natural remedies, natural care. We're all very aware now of what we put into our bodies as well. And obviously the ultimate goal is to live longer. We want to be here for longer.
And healthier.
Definitely. We want to be healthy. We want to be, living into our 90s or whatever. And the dogs' lives are so short anyway that you want them to be around for as long as you possibly can. So if you can be aware of what you're putting into your dog's body, how you're treating your dog, like massage is an amazing thing for a dog just to help relax them. And I know quite a lot of people go, well, my dog doesn't need any help relaxing, but some dogs do. Some dogs can't switch off. Like one of my dogs, when we adopted him, just didn't know how to live in the world. He was so scared of everything. But a wee bit of massage just helps him relax and calm down. Similarly, I've got a puppy who's office chump, you know, and like that, just a little bit of massage just helps him relax and calm down, and he can sit and play with a toy, or he can soothe and go for a wee snooze rather than just being 100 miles an hour all across the living
Yeah.
room. So yeah, it's a good kind of talking point and a good kind of way to describe the business.
Yeah, so just thinking about foods, like we are becoming much more aware and much more educated in what ultra processed foods are, looking at the ingredients label, knowing what it is that we are putting into our bodies. How much emphasis do you think there is in the dog or pet world about that?
Not as much as there should be. I mean, it's certainly starting to come to the fore now, but all like the big brands are just crap. You know, there's one brand in particular that's just full of, I suppose, like numbers. It's like
Okay.
giving your dog a bowl of Skittles for their dinner,
Yep.
and they're getting no nutrition from that. And owners aren't aware. Owners think because the marketing's so good and because these big brands, or maybe stuff that the vet will recommend as
Mhm.
well. Most people don't realise that vets are actually sponsored by these companies to
Mhm.
offload their stuff to you. And at the end of the day, vets are businesses too, so they want to make money. So there's not an awful lot of knowledge around what goes into pet food with owners.
Do you think that's the same for the vets? Like they don't really
Yeah,
go
because I think
into the information
yeah,
deeply?
because vets essentially are like GPs. They're not specialists
Yeah.
in any form. You know, you have to go maybe like into the vet schools and things like that, or like specific vet practices to find specialists.
Mhm.
Um,
'Cause
so
sorry to interrupt you, I'm just wondering, like, I know people who are in medical school just now, and I know doctors who have said, "We never got taught nutrition," or
yeah,
nutrition was only 8 hours out of the whole 5 years
uh-huh,
of course. I
yeah.
wonder how much that is the same for
Yeah,
vets.
it probably is
Yeah.
the same. Just as you touched on that as well, you know, you do a lot of work with menopausal women,
Mhm.
and GPs have openly said we get taught like a few hours on the menopause. You
We
know,
get
we
told
don't.
it's something women go through, full stop.
Yeah, we don't actually know much about it. And yeah, I think a lot of that is, um, you know, with dogs as well, because it's it's a lot of crap of the day that goes into dog food. You know, there's like
Mhm.
feathers and there's ground down bones, and
Yeah.
there's just rubbish that goes into it. Not every company's like that.
Yeah.
You know, there are some companies that are really, really specific on what on the ingredients that they put in, but obviously you pay a premium for that.
Mhm.
Whereas, you know, there's a vet in Australia, who does all the kind of homeopathy stuff. He does like silent pain, like that's it. Vets are not taught how to actually look at dogs' bodies and look for pain.
Mhm.
They will use machines, but machines don't pick up
Yeah.
specific, you know, like if dogs maybe have like joint pain or especially at the back end, a machine won't pick that up. So you can tell by just touching your dog's body and doing a wee assessment of it where the pain is, or you can tell by their movement and stuff. But vets don't necessarily pick that up. So
Is that something that
it's
you could pick up doing massage with them?
yeah,
And is
yeah,
that something you
it's
teach people?
yeah. So I teach owners how to touch their dog's bodies and look out for the silent pain. And it's once we know that it's there, it's really simple and easy to treat, whether it's through using essential oils or using the massage, or some dogs, not all dogs like to be touched, so we can use energy healing as well. You know, when Zane came to us, he was just like, he was so scared of humans, he was just like, back off. Do not touch
Mhm.
me. Now he's total opposite. I mean, we avoid making eye contact with him because he's just on top of us. But yeah, you know, so you can do. There's lots of different things that you can do. But yeah, like going back to the nutrition, it's fresh is always best, and
Mhm.
it's the same for our dogs. And I totally appreciate that not everybody has the time to cook for their dogs.
Yeah.
Um, but you can look at, obviously as we do, look at the back of packets, see what the ingredients are, and then just narrow it down from there and go for the best ones. And a lot of people like kibble for their dogs because it's quite good for their teeth and it does a hard poo, so it's
What
easier
is
to pick
kibble?
up. So kibble is like, you know, like the little kind of like biscuit type ideas
Right,
of
okay.
food.
Right, but more like
So
dry food rather than wet
yeah.
food, yeah.
So it's more like that. Lots of people prefer that because the dogs do a hard poo. It's easier to clean up. or it's obviously easier to put out. But can you imagine being a dog getting that every single day for your dinner? You're just like, oh.
A bowl of dry biscuits.
Yummy. So I always think, like, I always love about the mind, the body, and the spirit. Everything's connected. We have to feed everything. That's why I do like a series on dog days out, where we can go on amazing days out with our dogs. We've all already tried and tested them. I can tell you where the facilities are and all of that sort of stuff, getting your dogs out and about. But in terms of the nutrition, you want to try and give your dog a baby diet as well, because you want to make sure that they're getting enough protein, they're getting enough like oily fish, and they're, though dogs like will just eat pretty much, well, my dogs won't because they're quite fussy, but they'll eat whatever you put down to them. Sometimes I'm a bit like, oh really, salmon kibble again.
Yeah.
So I
Because my mum had some things like, oh, Bradley's not eating his dinner today. It's probably
bored.
the same dinner every day for the last 3-4 years.
That's totally it. And I think as owners, we don't tend to think about that. We just tend to go, oh, that's a
dog
really good food. That's good for my dog. It's got everything they need. It says complete on it. So yeah,
And
just
they'll
put it in there and eat it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But we don't tend to think of it from the dog's point of view of what would I be doing if I was eating that every single day for my breakfast and my dinner? I'd be like, oh my God, this is boring. And sometimes, I mean, even though like I will home cook everything for the dogs, like this morning, Jane was just like, no thanks, not having my breakfast, mum. And I think it's because I put sausages through his breakfast rather than chicken. He prefers chicken.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any cooked chicken this morning, so he had sausages and he totally turned his nose up at it. But I know that when I go home, he might be hungry enough that he will eat it, and then I'll give him chicken tonight for his dinner, so it'll be all good. But I have started doing like a series as well of recipes where I just for maybe special occasions as well. I did like the birthday pancake stack, and again Zane was just like, "What is this? Why is my food on fire?" When we brought it out and sang happy birthday to him. Like special things that you can make for your dog, things that you can whip up that's dead easy as well. And there's this misconception as well that dogs can't eat grains. They can eat grains as long as your dog isn't allergic to the grains, and as long as your dog maybe isn't having any sort of skin conditions. It's a trial and error thing.
It's like humans.
Oh yeah, totally.
Some humans' skin irritates when they eat too much grain.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not the grain that's the problem, it's the chemicals that have been sprayed on the grain before we get on into our diet. Not really the same for dogs.
Yeah, exactly. And I always used to be really scared that before I learned everything that I know now of giving the dogs the grains, and like that I was, guilty of giving them the kibble and wondering why they weren't eating it. And now I know all that I know. I'm just kind of like, no, actually they can have that. And it's the same as well. There's a misconception that dogs can't have dairy. They can if their bodies are tolerant of it and they are fine to have it. And because I make the kefir, which is also really good for protecting their guts as well. Because absolutely, as we know from nutrition and stuff, absolutely everything starts with a healthy gut.
Yeah.
So if we're looking after our guts, it'll kind of spread out, and everything else will look after itself too. But yeah, like the kefir is made with milk, and I've had like a couple of comments of dogs can't have milk. Who says dogs can't have milk? Puppies used to get, before the big markets brought out puppy milk, they used to get whole milk for their breakfast. So lots of dogs can tolerate the dairy and they can have it safely. You just need to make sure that you're not giving them loads of it.
Yeah.
And you're giving them what their bodies can tolerate.
Yeah, and when you make the kefir, however we pronounce it.
I know, I think everybody's thought
the grains, like the bacteria that get added to that, breaks down all the sugars. Like they eat all the sugars from the milk, and for most, certainly for humans, it's all lactose intolerant, which is the sugar that's in the milk. So it's likely to be similar for for animals.
It's sugars. It's like when you give your dog ice cream. There's obviously those. You just have to make sure that it's like for us, it's a treat. You're not having it every single day. You're having it once in a while. They can have it and they can safely have it. That it doesn't have to be a specific dog ice cream. As long as your dog can tolerate the dairy, then it's absolutely fine. And as you say, it'll breaks down when we're making it anyway. So the keeper is fine. You can make a dairy-free alternative if the dog isn't, isn't kind of tolerant of the dairy, and I show that in the videos that I've made and stuff as well. But as we were talking about, I was always thinking, well, I'll show people how to make it. But what's coming back is people are like, that's brilliant, you're showing us how to make it, but actually, can you just make it for us because we don't have the time to do it?
Yeah.
And that's going to be kind of like changing up and stuff like that. It's going to be available in my shop. Kind of, properly going down the whole kitchen witch, dog witch idea, where I'm using all these herbs and ingredients and stuff, and giving people what they want and what they need for their dogs.
Yeah. So the golden paste is another one that you do, which is one that us humans can consume,
Yeah,
but you make one
definitely.
for dogs. Talk about the golden paste.
Yeah, so golden paste is basically just health in a bottle in a tub for dogs. Zane, I talk about Zane quite a lot because he is so complex, but he lives with epilepsy and cancer, and he got his diagnosis for his cancer in January this year. Prognosis wasn't great, and we were told maybe a couple of months. And we're obviously in September now, and he's doing great. And he's got a slight little tilt in his head because the tumour is in the ear, so it's inoperable, which is why we were told about the palliative care. And this wee tilt in his head is really the only thing that you can see that he's got cancer. He's not in any pain. He still loves going out, but the golden paste he gets that every day in his breakfast and in his dinner. Sometimes I will smear it around sausages because, again, going back to the whole kind of, oh, is this my dinner again? If he's getting that in his dinner every day, sometimes he'll never not eat it. But the golden paste is great because it relieves pain, it reduces inflammation, it eases joints. It's just wonderful. It just really is health, and it's so simple. It's just turmeric, cracked black pepper, and I use the MCT oil, but some people like to use the fractionated coconut oil as well. Either is absolutely fine, but it's just really, really quick and easy to make. It's really simple to make, but it's something that protects and heals your dog's body so that you're not having to take them to the vet and maybe pay an absolute
Hundreds of
fortune.
pounds.
Yeah,
Sometimes
exactly.
thousands of pounds.
Yeah, exactly. And one of my friends was saying, I actually used to walk a dog many moons ago when I was a dog walker, and Kez had something wrong with one of her knee joints, and she'd taken her to the vet, and her mum had taken Kez to the vet, and she was quoted £2,500 to do an operation, but Anne just felt that Kez is 14 now, she just felt that it was quite a lot to put her dog through.
Yeah.
Started her on the golden paste about a year ago, and she's running about her cup.
Amazing.
It's so that has totally taken away the need for Kez to have the operation. It would have been not only a huge expense for her mum, but it would have been a huge thing for Kez at that age to have gone through. But yeah, she gets a bit of golden paste in her dinner every day, and she's totally fine. Yeah,
Amazing.
so it's just one of these things. I think people or dog owners don't know that these alternatives exist.
Yeah.
Because they say vets are very much channeled towards the whole medical side of things, so they don't know that these things exist too, so they can't maybe say to owners. I suppose it's like our GPs as well.
Yeah.
They're not really. There are a few, but many of them won't say this, for like depression and anxiety, go for a walk, go for a swim, do a bit of meditation.
That's a bit of turmeric into your
Oh,
diet.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So
Because they can only teach you what they've been taught. Like they'll have guidelines, like the NHS, they've got guidelines, and unless they've gone and done additional courses on top of that, even if it's just something that they've read about, that they've maybe studied a journal or whatever, but they've not gone on a course for it, I think they're not legally able to give that advice, and I imagine that's the same
so
for
I suppose that's why people like me
vets.
and you exist, because we're then able we can give both options.
Yeah.
We've done the learning, we've done the courses. I don't give my dogs anything that I wouldn't first try myself.
Yes.
And this journey for me kind of started, it was twofold. It was first of all to understand what the heck is going on inside Zane's brain.
Yeah.
So that I could help him to live his life the best way possible, because I just thought when he first came to us, he was so scared of everything. I thought this kid was going to have a heart attack and die. So I need to learn how to help him properly.
Yeah.
And then secondly, because I suffer from anxiety and depression myself, antidepressants were making me suicidal. I've got 2 young kids. I couldn't function like that. So I needed to find a way to live my life without relying on pills and chemicals and things. And yeah, like I first kind of, came across like meditation and essential oils and all that whilst seeking for things to help me. And when my oldest dog Ziggy, who's now no longer with us, and he just passed away a few weeks ago, but when a few years ago, 4 years ago, he had what's called older dog vestibular disease. Now they don't 100% know exactly what that is, but it presents itself very similar to a stroke for dogs. And the first 48 hours is crucial. And within the first 48 hours, Ziggy wasn't making any progress. He'd lost the use of his limbs. He wasn't eating, and there was nothing like kind of medically wrong with him apart from not really being able to walk. And at that point, the vet was kind of saying to us, "You have to think about euthanasia. We'll never look at letting him go." And at that point, he was only 13, and I'm saying, "No, absolutely not. My boy's not ready to go." I knew why he wasn't making progress because he was a big mama's boy, and I had left him in the vet. I'd left him in the hospital overnight, and he was totally huffing. And I said, "Can I please take him home and try my woo and see what happens?" And they were like, "Right, okay," because they knew what I did for a living, and they knew that I worked with dogs. So we brought Ziggy home, hand fed him something to eat, so he ate something. I put a blend in the diffuser, put that on, and just let it diffuse constantly around him. I gave him a bit of energy healing, and the doorbell went and he barked. And I thought, "Oh, hello." And then he was always, dogs get kind of crusty men at their eyes.
Yeah.
And Ziggy was always one who was so like interested in them. Like when you took them out of his eyes, he wanted to sniff them and see what they were. So when I cleaned his eyes, he was like properly sniffing, whereas he just hadn't been doing any of that in the vet. And I slept downstairs with him that night, and I did like massage and I did some more energy healing, and we just had this blend constantly diffusing. And the next morning, we had a little sling to put on his back legs to take him out to the pee and stuff. And the next morning, I went to get the sling, and I turned around and he was standing behind me. I'm like, "This works. This is amazing." And I'm going, at that point, I was probably like in my head, "I really am allergic. This is fantastic." And he went out and he did the toilet on his own, and like that, he had a kind of head tilt, and that lasted for about a week. But I just kept doing all the same things, and we took him back to the vet, and they couldn't believe. They were just like, "What have you done? This isn't the same dog." They were like in awe of how I'd managed to bring Ziggy back to health.
Yeah.
And within 2 weeks of that happening, he was back to being his usual self. The head tilt was gone, and there was no signs that he had been through that.
Yeah.
But if we had taken that advice, we would have put him to sleep. Whereas we got 4 years with him. I mean, he was 16 years and 10 months when he passed away, just shy of his 17th birthday. So we got 4 years with him that we shouldn't have had with him. And we were so grateful for that time with him. I always called him my Mary Poppins dog, practically perfect in every way. And I'm sure I probably look at him through rose tinted glasses, but I mean, he had his moments. But he was an amazing dog. And he was my everything. He got me through everything. He got me through the depression. He got me through issues at work and stuff. And I wouldn't have had that had I not tried that.
Yeah.
And that's, for me now, this is about carrying on Ziggy's legacy. This is about carrying on what we started. I made him a promise when he passed away. It's like, "I'll help all of your friends. Don't you worry." And I think he would be proud of the journey that I'm trying to take myself on, and that Zane's here and come with me.
You're not trying to take yourself on, you are taking
That's
yourself
it.
on.
I think he's like, "Keep Zane down there as long as possible, Mum. I don't want him up here beside me." No, they were inseparable. They were really good friends, but Zane's just, whereas like you say, Ziggy was practically perfect in every way. The total polar opposite was Zane. He's just he's a beautiful dog. He's very loving. He's just as mad as lots of dogs, and he's still like that. Being 14, you know, people will. A couple of years ago, we were in Butte, and we just had the two of them then, and a wee lady said to me, "Are they pups?" And I'm like, "No, he's." I think he was about 14 at the time, and
Yeah.
Zane was about 11. She's like, "Wow, they look amazing for their age," and I mean, they did, and Zane still does, despite everything that's
Yeah,
going
he's
on
got
with his
going on,
cancer.
yeah.
Yeah, he's fabulous. You know, he is really nuts.
Yeah. You were talking there about using like oils in the diffuser.
Yeah.
Now, I'm right in thinking that there are some essential oils that are toxic
Yeah.
for dogs. So
Yeah, there
if
are.
anybody's wanting to use them, they really need to work with a specialist like yourselves.
Yeah,
to make sure that they
definitely.
don't kill their dog.
Definitely, because as much as essential oils are amazing, they can also be very dangerous if used in the wrong quantities and you
Yeah.
don't know what you're doing with them and you don't know why you're using them. So you really would have to speak to somebody like a specialist like me that knows exactly what they're doing, what the quantities are for using them for your dogs. You know, you can use them in natural cleaning products. You can make natural cleaning products. That's something else that I'm going to be teaching people how to do. Make natural cleaning products for their dogs, because obviously a lot of the cleaning products that you can buy have toxins in them, you know, and the dogs are walking about on the floor or whatever, and their paws are the gateway to your dog's bloodstream. So if you've put bleach on the floor and they're walking about on that, that's seeping through into their bloodstream and is going to make them sick. So
It's
aside
same
from
if we get bleach on us, it's like
Yeah.
pouring an antibiotic down your throat. If you get it on your
definitely.
skin, it absorbs in, kills your own microbes. It's going to do the same thing with the dog.
Exactly. So I mean, my husband thinks I'm nuts, but there's all these jars and lotions and potions under our sink. He's like, "What's that for?" "Oh, that's a natural bleach." "What's that for?" "Oh, that's for cleaning the showers." He's just like, "What the heck?" But it means that, well, I've got two young kids, so it means that they are safe and well looked after, but it also means that the dogs are looked after, because obviously dogs' noses are very sensitive as well. I mean, that's how they live in the world, is, you know, everything is through their sense of smell. So if they're sniffing things out that are going to be toxic to their bodies, then
Sniffing bleach in.
exactly, it's not great, is it?
Yeah.
So, or even, what do you mean, even you know, like an air spray, you know, a fresh air spray, things like that. It's
Those
just
ear fogging
so
things that some people have that are
Yeah.
diffusing.
Well, people think as well, because there's one brand that, you know, says, you know, full of essential oils, but they're not full of essential oils. They're full of synthetic essential oils, which means that there's additives and crap in that. But also as well, they're not all dog friendly. They're not all pet friendly. So if you don't know what you're looking for, so you can diffuse stuff throughout the home that makes it smell amazing, that will you know, take out any toxins in the air. Can't remember the word I'm looking for. You know, we'll break down all these particles, like the smell of wet dog will make neutralize the odors. That's what I'm looking for.
I couldn't find that word either.
So if you can put your diffuser on, that's taking away the stinky dog smell, that is, you know, being kind to your dog as well, but your house smells fantastic. Then obviously it's everyone's a winner. And also as well, like buying a little bottle of essential oils is going to be much cheaper for you, because it lasts for ages. It's going to be much cheaper for you than actually going maybe every other week and buying one of these fresh air sprays, because people will buy, you know, the ones that eliminate the odours and put on the dog's bed and things like that. But you're literally just putting your dog in on chemicals. You're not actually taking away. Yeah, it might smell nice, but you're not actually taking away, you know, like the proper toxins and things that are there. You're adding to it, and your poor dog's then lying on it. It's moving their skin. It's going up the paws and into the bloodstream. Whereas obviously I make products that will do all that for you, but it's 100% natural, and your house smells amazing, your dog smells amazing, and nobody's going to die.
And I think there's only sort of more recently conversation about artificial fragrance that's in perfumes, shampoos, shower gels, body lotions for humans, and about how they're disrupting hormones. Like they're realizing a lot of these are estrogen stimulating. It's like artificial xenoestrogens that are coming into your body, so it's then increasing the level of estrogen in your body.
Yeah.
I've lost that word. it's the morning for it.
I know.
But these hormone disruptors, they're linking that to why young women are going into periods earlier, why older women are going into menopause earlier, PMS symptoms, menopausal symptoms, all these because there's so much hormone disruption because of stuff that we're putting onto our skin, and these air fresheners and plug-in things are full of these artificial fragrances. So they're toxic for everybody, not just us or not just the pets,
yeah.
toxic for everybody.
My little girl thinks I'm mental, but I make like her own shampoo and their own body wash and stuff, and everything's labelled, in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And she's got really curly. Everybody calls her Merida because she's got really curly, fiery red hair. And we have to try and keep it under control. But I make like natural conditioner for her and stuff, and it only lasts a few days. So I'm like, hurry up, you have to use that before it goes off. It's like, what the hell? But I try to keep out as much toxins from the kids' bodies as I possibly can. Even stuff like toilet roll. I mean, I didn't realise until like during the pandemic when you couldn't get any bloody toilet roll that bleach is put in the toilet roll just to give it that natural white colour. And you're just
and
thinking,
a lot of them now
wow.
they're adding fragrance to toilet paper.
Yeah.
I don't want to wipe my vagina, thank you very much, with your artificial fragrance. It's awful.
Yeah, I mean it's just mad. I mean we get the Who Gives a Crap toilet roll, which is brilliant because it comes and it's all wrapped up. So it's like opening a wee Christmas present every time you open it, and people are like, "Oh, it's so expensive." But I did a test actually over the last month to see whether it was really expensive, and actually it's not. We've actually spent out more in the last month than what we spent in the last 3 months on toilet roll with Who Gives a Crap, because not only does it not have any chemicals and it's fully biodegradable and it's much better for the planet, but the rolls are bigger as well.
Right.
So one roll, we put a roll in each bathroom, so we're using 2 rolls, say, a week.
Yeah.
Whereas just now, when I did the test, when I was going to the shop and buying toilet rolls, we were going through at least 9 a week. That's crazy. That's nuts. It's absolutely mental. So yeah, I mean, even just things like that, making the change, stuff like that. But obviously, it's not only better for us, but it's better for the environment as well. And like that, sometimes like Zach the puppy, if you drop a bit of toilet roll, he's off with it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, at least if he's eating the Who Gives a Crap one, then it's going to be all right.
He's not eating bleach.
Yeah, but if he's eating the other one, you're having to shove your hand down his. Because that's the whole thing, people always say with a puppy, what you say is, "What's in your mouth now?" That's it. What are you eating? And you're just constantly like in his mouth seeing what's there. So yeah, I mean, all these things you can do naturally, and I've made it my mission on behalf of Ziggy to bring it to dog owners so that they're not, or they're protecting their dogs much better. So that we've got dogs who are happy and healthy and they're ultimately living longer.
Yes.
Because that's what the goal is about. Having gone through that loss of Ziggy, I mean, God, he was nearly 17, I had such an amazing life with him. It's just, we always just want him to be here that wee bit longer.
I know. Now you talked about energy healing for animals.
Yes.
And it's Reiki.
Yeah,
you do it for?
Yeah, so it's a form of Reiki. So quite a lot of it is done if the dogs aren't really wanting hands-on or need to be close to them, because dogs are rubbish. They will get up and they'll just walk about. And sometimes the first sort of session looks a bit crap because it's kind of like, what are you doing? You're not really doing much for my dog. But if I can communicate with the dog on, I suppose, a kind of spiritual level, and we can make eye contact with each other, and it's not, I suppose it's not telepathy, because obviously that just makes me sound a bit nuts. But if I can communicate with the dog and I can send like the loving, healing energy to the dog and to their bodies, dogs are super, super receptive of energy healing. They don't have the preconceived ideas that we have. They just know that it feels good and that it's nice and warm and fuzzy, and their bodies will just take the energy and they will send it wherever it needs to go. Whereas we can be quite sceptical. We can go, this going to work?
Mhm.
You know, this nut job here, putting my hands on my body, is that going to make it work or make me feel a bit better? Um, but I've been doing a good bit of energy healing with Zane and his cancer, and just been kind of cupping my hands around his ear. Initially, it was a bit like, "What are you doing? Get away
Yeah.
from me!" But I've been just cupping my hand around his ear, imagining that I'm sending this white light round his ear, and that I'm taking the pain away from it. And the difference, I mean, you could really see that his ear was pretty inflamed, and now it's just the same colour as the other ear, which is amazing. And other dogs, like Zach, he just loves lying down and being pampered and stuff. So he's quite happy for me to put the hands on and
Yeah.
do the Reiki like that with him. But there is an energy healing course that I do that teaches owners either with hands on or to do the kind of communication sort of energy healing as well, which I mean either or works.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It makes sense though, because you know that if an owner's anxious, a dog's more likely to be anxious. If an
Yeah,
owner's
definitely.
angry, the dog's more likely
Yeah.
to be angry. So why would the healing part, like, why would that be any different?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And dogs do feed off their emotions. So in the course, I teach the owners or the caregivers how to first of all prepare themselves for it,
Mhm.
how to prepare the space that they're going to be doing the healing in, and then how to detach themselves from that, how to wind themselves down after they've done it. Because you can't go in and do an energy healing session if you're wound up and you're angry or you're feeling really sad. You have to totally detach yourself because that energy will then go into the dog,
Yeah.
and you could end up doing them more harm than good.
Mhm.
So you have to, you know that yourself. You know, we know that you couldn't go in and give somebody a massage or an energy healing session,
Yeah.
being all because that would just then transfer to your client. So
Yes.
yeah, so I teach owners how to do all of that. And the reason that I teach the owners to do it and I don't just offer it as a service is first of all, first and foremost, it's about empowering owners to take back that control.
Yeah.
We all should have control of our own health, and obviously our dogs need us to do that. We need to be the advocates for our dogs, so they need us to do that for them. So that's the reason why I teach it. But also as well, I mean, how much would it cost to take your dog for an energy healing session? Like maybe once a week or,
Yeah.
you know, like twice a month or something like that. So if you can learn how to do it and it literally, you know, once you've mastered how to do it, the course itself will only take you a couple of hours. And once you've mastered how to do it, you can literally do it during the ad break at Corey. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like you're having to sit there for hours and really work with your dog. Um sorry, excuse me. So it's dead easy to do, but it's also a really amazing bonding session with your dog.
Uh-huh.
You know, people maybe think, "Oh, I've got a really good relationship with my dog," but once you start doing like massage and energy healing and stuff, that's when the good shit happens. That's when you know you're really bonding with your dog on a spiritual level, and they're
Mhm.
like, "You are amazing," you know, they're totally like hailing you as their god.
Yeah. So that would be really useful. Like in households, quite often the dog has a favourite human
Yeah,
that it attaches to. So if the other person's feeling a wee bit left out of that relationship or
totally.
doesn't have that good relationship, 'cause I'm just thinking of an owner of a family that my mum and dad know, and the dog really listens to the man and has bitten the woman a couple of
Oh,
times. Like it's not, um, it's quite a different dog with
uh-huh.
each person. That if the person
Yeah,
who's not got as good a relationship goes and learns how to do the massage and do the energy healing,
yeah.
then that can help heal that bond and
Uh-huh.
that relationship.
Totally, yeah, yeah, absolutely. You know, like I've taught Killian, my youngest, he's only 6, and I've taught him how to do the massage, a wee bit of the massage, and how to do some energy healing with the dogs. And it's amazing the relationship that he has with the dogs. Like the puppy, Zach, he doesn't have favourite person, just everybody's his friend.
Uh-huh.
As soon as any one of us comes through the door, he's just like, wow, this is amazing. And although I probably do the most for him, you know, I walk him, I feed him, I'm there all the time with him. But yeah, whenever anybody comes through the door, he's just like, oh, these humans are amazing. But Zane, I would say it's probably more me and Killian. And I've taught Killian how to do it because he was asking, like, what are you doing with Zane's ear? And I said, I'm helping him, I'm trying to help him feel a wee bit better. And now I've taught him how to do that as well. And quite often I'll go in and I'll see them sitting together, and it's just really cute. It's just a really nice thing to do. And I suppose starting him young like that, he's going to then, take that throughout the rest of his life. But also as well, it's going to have an impact for him because he's going to know how to de-stress, how to, be calm, and when it comes up for like time for exams and things like that, he's going to have a handle on how to actually, look after his body and how to de-stress himself. So yeah, it's a lovely kind of dynamic to be able to have.
You just need to have the whole family involved.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the dog to be involved with the whole family as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because when we first had kids, we were thinking, how's Zane going to cope, with having a baby in the house, and he was just brilliant. Like he literally took to it like a duck to water.
Yeah.
He loved like Kiva when she was a baby. He would go up and I was whenever we were changing the nappy when he was a baby, he would go up and lick her bum, and we were kind of like, what's that all about? And he did exactly the same when Killian came along as well, and we never had any issues with them because we prepared the dogs for the kids coming along.
Yeah.
And they knew that things were going to change a wee bit. But because of my background and because of what I do, they were totally ready for it. They were just like, yeah, bring on this little person. And as soon as they realised when they drop food, that's amazing.
They're my favourite people.
Or they're going to play with me. That's even better, And I say like Zane, despite everything that he's going through, he's got like a new lease of life. He's playing with toys. He's out in the back garden playing football with Killian. He's great. Like you wouldn't know that there's anything wrong. There's for being 14, there's no stiffness or anything in his body. He's amazing. He really is good.
Amazing. So if a dog owner has their dog and the dog's presenting with some sort of wee health niggle or wee health issue, when would they come to you and when would they go to a vet? Like how would they know who to go to first?
Yeah, so I think like if it's a physical thing like a broken limb or things like that, definitely get yourself straight to the vet. But if it's like presenting as maybe like a behavioural issue, that could be that the dog's in pain, and that's something that the vet isn't going to be able to diagnose right away. That's going to be a kind of trial and error thing. But I can teach you now, obviously, how to assess the dog's body to see whether or not there's any pain there, and then we can look at a natural remedy. But I would often say to people as well that there's no reason why the two can't run along together. It's not a me or a vet. It's very much yep, you've got some medication from the vet, that's absolutely amazing, but here's what we can do to help the dog's body heal as well. For example, Zach broke his elbow at 4 months old, that really bad frost and ice that we had last year before Christmas. He just went out to the garden. We heard this almighty screech, and we're like, oh my god, what the hell? Went out, his paw was just like hanging limply. So yeah, he needed surgery. He obviously needed a vet right away. He needed surgery and he needed a little bit of physiotherapy, once the cast and everything come off. But I was doing some energy healing on him. I was doing a wee bit of massage, and I constantly just had essential oils diffusing throughout the house. And he got golden paste, and he got kefir, and he got kombucha. And within about 6 weeks, he was back to bouncing off the walls again. And the vet had passed comment on it. She'd said, he's healed really quickly. What have you been doing? And when I said about all the things, she was like, wow, that's great. And obviously it was a really complex operation because of where he'd broken it. So we would have been like, oh my God, is he going to have issues? And he's not. And so I would say, like, obviously, if it's a physical thing, right away, get yourself to the vet. I would always say if your dog's presenting as unwell, get straight to the vet. But there are things, if there's behavioural issues or if there's maybe, if they are like whining and barking and things like that when you're out the house and your neighbours are getting driven up the wall, it could be separation anxiety, and these are things that we can solve really quickly without the use of chemicals. If your dog's really anxious, or even if they get very anxious in the car, or they get really anxious going to the vet, come to me and I can help you.
Get them in the door.
I solve all of that. Um,
What about if they had a wee upset stomach?
so that's something again that we can look at through the kefir and the kombucha, like again the gut health.
Yeah.
And we can look at diet as well, seeing what they're eating, because sometimes it can just be, an ingredient is really irritating their
Yeah.
tummy. Like for Ziggy, for example, when I gave him one brand of pig's ears, he was just his tummy was just running. And like, what's going on there? So it was a couple of days on chicken and rice, and then going narrowing it down, and there's it was that pig's ear. That's what it was. So we can do things with diet. We can do like the kefir and kombucha just to build up the healthy gut. And yeah, we can do the massage and stuff as well to get the essential oils into the body to help the body heal from the inside out. So I would say like stuff like that. You maybe don't need to rush right to the vet. We can do something like that. Because I think nowadays as well, they're like, well, ours anyway, you're 50 quid before you even step in the door. And I know that the government is looking at running some sort of investigation into vet fees as well, because they feel that they're just too expensive at the moment.
Yeah. So I don't know whether to talk about this. I know somebody, or my parents know somebody who took their dog to the vet and were given a price for an operation, and the person said, "I'm not insured, I can't afford to do this," and they changed the price.
Wow. That's
And you're
just
like,
nuts.
"Is that not legal?"
Yeah, like, it's mad. Well, when Zach first broke his elbow, our vet, and this is what I say, that vets are businesses too. They work on commission.
And they're not like
Um,
the NHS that are given money by the government.
Yeah,
It's
that's
all
it.
funded by
And
people.
we have felt over the last few years, especially with our own vet, we've been with them for years and years, and it's why we've never changed. But we felt that it's been more a kind of switch to a focus on they've got to get the money in, rather than being, focused on the patient. And that's very much why I got really angry. But when Zach broke his elbow, we went to the vet, and they were sending us to an orthopedic specialist in Stirling. And obviously, we live in Royston, that's a bit of a distance. And when we spoke to the specialist, they were like, he is going to need an operation, but we need £5,000 up front. And we were going, we don't have that kind of money. It was literally just after Christmas.
Yeah.
So, oh, sorry, literally just before Christmas. So we were going, Christmas is cancelled in our house. It's like, we don't have that. And we're like, we've got insurance. Can we give you the insurance details and we can claim it back? No, you need to pay us up front and then claim it back from the insurance. And I remember distinctly like being totally distraught. My 4-month-old puppy's paw was hanging off.
Yeah.
And she's saying to me, well, do you have a credit card? And I'm going, no. Do you have any family or friends that can lend you the money? And I was like, no. Hold on, I'll get my mum to see what she's got down the back of the sofa. It's like, no, nobody has it. They're encouraging you to get into debt. And I'm kind of going, no, we don't have that. She's kind of like, well, we can't do his operation. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like, what are we going to do here? And then I just thought, stuff this for a game of soldiers. I'm going to phone the vet school. And I phoned the vet school in Glasgow myself and said, this is the situation. Can you take him? Would you be able to operate? And they were like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. We'll speak to your vet and we'll get it sorted. And I said, and what about payment? And they were like, no, give us your insurance details and we'll deal with the insurers. And it was totally chalk and cheese. He went in, and initially the place in Stirling was saying to me, well, he has to be seen within the next 48 hours, otherwise it's going to have permanent damage. And I was like, obviously heartbroken, distraught, worrying about my baby. And when I spoke to, it was actually the professor at Glasgow University at the vet school, and she was like, no, he can comfortably stay in that bandage for about a week. She was like, but we'll have him in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
2 days later, he was in, had the operation, back home. They sorted it all out with the insurance, and Christmas went ahead. Happy days.
Yeah.
And Zach, as I say, was out his cast and running about.
Yeah, so it's worth getting a second opinion with these things, because I know like America, their health system's very different to ours, where they've got these doctors, and like that there'll be some that are in it for the money, there'll be some that are in it for the healthcare. So when you get an opinion and a price and whatever, going for a second opinion, because like you say, these are businesses, they're not
Yeah,
the health
exactly.
service.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when I had asked the professor, at the vet school, when we'd seen her, and I'm like, why would that be? Why were we referred to this place? And she went, it's all about the money. She said they would have been getting the commission because of that. She
Yeah.
said, and they would have been putting the pressure on you to find the money because they were obviously wanting the big payout at the end of it.
Yeah.
And it turned out actually getting Zach's operation done there, even though it was done through insurance, was actually cheaper than what they were wanting us. So it was, for that instance, it was very much all about the money, and I was so angry.
When you hear it, like when somebody within the profession confirms that to you, so it's all very well me being conspiratorial and saying, oh, this, I don't have pets, I've not no experience with these people, but when you are a pet owner and you hear from somebody else within that
somebody who's at the top of their game as well, it wasn't just like the cleaner or something like that. Somebody that was really high up, was top of the game, and that's what she'd said to us. It was kind of all about the money, and I was just so angry. And you kind of thinking, see if I could have operated on don't employ myself all the time. But no, that's where the kind of line comes. Like, obviously, vets provide an amazing service. They know their stuff, and the specialists know their stuff, and that's why they exist. But also there's the flip side. There's me. There's people like me, but there's nobody advocating for. Until me, there's nobody advocating for dog owners and saying, actually, you could do it this way, or challenge that. If people come to me and like with Kez's mum, about the knee and stuff, I'm kind of like, have you spoke to someone else? Have you tried this? Have you tried that? Let's give this a try and see if this works before you take on that massive expense. Even just like humans, my dad just laughs at me. He's like, one day you're going to pop a bit of this and pop a bit of that, and you'll got a cure for cancer. My dad has really bad health. He's got a hole in his back and he's in a lot of pain. And I'll go in and I'll do some Reiki with him, and I make him up a special blend of essential oils and some stuff with CBD oil in it as well. And he has said that the difference from using my remedies to maybe like popping all the painkillers that he's been having is like second to none. And my dad is like the biggest skeptic. He was just like, nah, he just thinks I'm mad. But he's like,
so your parents wonder where they got you from? Because mine do.
Sometimes and well, my hair's wet just now, but I'm like, I'm redhead as well. I'm the only redhead in the family, and I'm the oldest. And my dad's like, you're definitely in the mountains.
My mum and dad have often said that if I didn't look like the two of them, they would wonder whether or not I had been swapped in the hospital by accident. Because I'm just so different. But like that, I look after my health in a particular way. I take what I need to take from the hospital, and over and above that, I do loads of other stuff. For me, I'm taking the kefir and the kombucha and the fermented foods, removing as many toxins from my health as I can.
That's how it should be, shouldn't it? Because we should, especially now that we're so aware of how much pressure's under the NHS are under as well, we should all be taking responsibility for
and how much corruption there is in medicine. Like in the pharma, like how much corruption, and that's been really exposed in the last few years. Like when the internet came round, things were slowly, but I think in the last couple of years it's really a big light has been shown on it. And need to take more power back.
Was it last year, speaking to one of our mutual friends who does all the herbs and natural stuff as well, and I remember her saying that, she used to work in the field of pharmaceuticals and stuff, and I remember her saying that a lot of the research is manipulated. She's like, it's manipulated to get this result so that they can promote a certain pill or chemical or whatever for doing X, Y, and Z, and it's not actually, because I think the conversation started off about the antidepressants, and I was just like, they made me worse, they made me suicidal.
It's on the information leaflet. It's on their suicide ideation. It's on there.
It's one of these things as well. It's like once you're on antidepressants, it's so difficult to get back off them again. And I suppose I did it the wrong way because I remember going into the doctor and just like, yeah, I stopped taking them, and she was kind of like, oh my god, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm not taking them anymore, because they just made me awful. Like I couldn't get out of bed. The side effects were
Yeah.
dreadful, and at the time, Killian was only like 1. He needed me. He
Yeah.
needed his mummy, and it was really really bad. And I'm lucky that I've got a really supportive GP. She does advocate, like self-help sort of things.
Yeah.
And I think more GPs should be like that. More should be, like go for a walk, change your diet, go for a swim, go out
Yeah.
for a coffee with friends, that kind of thing.
I think there are more now, and it's slowly, because I certainly know of a GP down in the south of Glasgow who advocates for gut health, and
Yeah,
she's got the Medics Microbiome podcast, and she's written a course for doctors on gut health and how to help
yeah,
people with gut health issues or with any health issues, because they're looking at the link of gut health and cancer, gut health and depression,
yeah.
gut health and inflammatory bowel disease. Like it's linked to everything. But if doctors are not taught about this, and when I spoke to my consultant, he's like, well, when I first got diagnosed 6 years ago, when we would go to conferences, there would be like a 20-minute talk on gut health. Now there's like much longer,
Yeah.
and I'm like, but they're not doing it fast enough.
I
We need
know.
these conversations quicker, so that you're then relaying its patients, because he only spoke to me about it because I spoke to him about it.
Yeah.
Whereas it should have been him leading that conversation.
Definitely.
And there are certainly my GP before he retired, he was saying to me the medical system's going the wrong direction. They're isolating parts of the body rather than looking at the whole body. It needs to go the other way. And he does a lot of work actually with the integrative care. And it was only when I got referred to integrative care that my doctor said, oh, I used to do a lot of work with your GP,
Yeah.
but he's now retired. So, and he's retired due to ill health himself. But I think the doctors who do speak out publicly, like Dr. Chatterjee, he got into looking at the bigger picture because the medical system's failing somebody in his family.
Yeah.
And it's only when they have a personal experience of, hang on a minute, this system doesn't do everything that it should be doing, that they then go off and branch off and start learning more and bringing that in,
Yeah.
and then talking about it to try and encourage other people.
You look at it like humans have been around for thousands of years.
Tens
So
of thousands, if not hundreds.
obviously all of these natural remedies and methods were there. And of course, like modern day medical science is amazing. Like I wouldn't be here, my kids wouldn't be here because they were both born by cesarean section.
Yeah.
Because I was just too small to deliver my huge babies.
Yeah.
So things like that are absolutely amazing. But you have to strip it back and look at how can we heal the body, or how can we treat these things without constantly just having to push the chemicals. Eastern medicine has been used and around for where the proper witches exist, been used for thousands of years. So why wouldn't we be using that? Why are we closing that off? And I know a lot of people are going back to that now, and there's people like us that exist to try and push people into that direction. But I just think people are, especially the medical profession, are just so blinkered, and it's nuts because everything should be able to coexist quite happily.
Yeah. I did have a nurse explain to me once that when medical schools are interviewing for future doctors, they want people who are A-level students, who are get A's for everything.
Yeah.
And the type of person who generally gets A for everything are very black and white thinking. Here's the problem, here's a solution, here's the problem, here's a solution. Like it's that black and white.
Yeah.
But when we deal with the human body, we need to be able to look in the grey zones.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
not enough people who look in the grey zones are academically able to be there. So it means that they're bringing in people that are super smart, like hyper able to learn stuff, but they don't question and challenge things
It's not
or
happening in
think
the real
outside
world.
the box enough. Yeah, they don't think outside the box enough. And there's not enough of them coming into the medical system, so that people then, when they come in, go, this is this disease, this is this medicine, this is this disease, this is this
Yeah.
medicine, these are these side effects, this is the medicine that you can put with that one.
Yeah.
And it's very
So there's
structured
not
like that,
no
but there's
kind of
no,
looking at it of, right, okay, that's your disease, that's your medication, but that medication might have an effect on your mental health. So what do you do to look after the mental health? Oh, there, take that other pill.
Yeah,
Whereas
it's
we
like,
would go, maybe go
how's
for
your
a
sleep,
walk.
how's your sleep, how's your
Yeah.
movement. are you drinking enough? Are you speaking to other people enough?
Yeah,
Like,
definitely all
big
of
picture,
these things. It
everything's
goes back to the
connected.
whole kind of mind, body, spirit. It's all
Yes.
connected, and we have to look after them all. And I suppose that's where it came for me, for my depression as well. Was I was literally taking the tablets for the depression, but my weight was just ballooning as well. And because your weight's ballooning, that's making me more depressed.
Yeah.
More depressed, so I'm going to eat more crap. You know, and
Yeah, and
I'm
lose
not
less
looking.
and
Yeah, and I'm
get
not
more
looking.
depressed. Yeah.
And then eventually, when I did go right, so that for Game of Soldiers, I'm going to just come off the antidepressants, and I did start getting me back. I started running again. I started cooking again. I started, like eating properly, and all of a sudden, like weight came off. I was feeling better about myself. Because I was feeling better about myself, the house was getting cleaned and looking sparkling, and now I've always been neurotic about having the house clean and tidy, but now it's like people can't move. Like poor dogs have never been walked so much in their lives, that kind of thing. So all of that all fell into place, and then it was, and I suppose the pandemic kind of came at the right time for me, because that's when I was deciding that I wanted to take my business down this route of, like natural healthcare for dogs, and that I've been working on, like products and things in the background, and I've been working with the dogs that I walk. Now, I remember taking one dog, she had a wee issue with her paw, and I did a bit of Reiki because she was on doggy daycare with me, and she was so chilled when she was home, and she's walking about, and her mum's going, "Did you do that today?" I was like, "Oh, I gave her some Reiki." And I remember her dad ran from the living room to the door and was like, "Did you just say you gave my dog Reiki?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Can I come out on a walk with you?" He was just like, "This is amazing." So that kind of gave me the opportunity to put all of this together. And by that time, I was feeling really well, and
Yeah.
I was into the rhythm of doing all my exercise and stuff again. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And as I say, throughout those last few years, Ziggy had a great life.
Yeah.
Up until it was just these back legs just kind of went, and at that point there wasn't really much we could do for him. It was just he'd had the medication from the vet as well, and he'd had like the healing and stuff, and it was just time. It comes to a point where it is just time. But yeah, I mean,
like for all of us.
yeah, definitely. You can't outlive it or outrun it, but eventually it will come. But yeah, I mean, he got to nearly 17, and it was amazing. So I would say
it is possible to have a dog for longer, healthy, happy,
definitely.
and amazing.
Definitely.
I love what you do.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered everything.
So if people are listening to this and they want to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you?
So on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and at Whole Dog Care.
It's crazy, I'm just at Whole Dog Care.
At Whole Dog Care. Just on all the usual social channels.
You on YouTube as well?
Yeah, on YouTube, Whole Dog Care on YouTube.
Website?
wholedogcare.co.uk. And people can just reach out to me there. As I say, I'm brilliant at giving loads of information for free. My accountant's always like, "Stop giving things away for free." But I just love helping dogs, and I love helping people help their dogs as well.
So you've got loads of information on all social media platforms, but then you've got the courses to teach people how to actually be able to administer these things.
Yeah, there's the massage and the energy healing courses out there. There's the whole range of natural healthcare products. But on like TikTok and YouTube and Facebook mainly, I give a lot of information on how to look after your dogs, and I'll I do the videos on how to make certain bits and bobs. But as I say, the feedback's been coming back. People are like, "Love it, but want to just make it better."
I get that.
So,
thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you. So if you have been listening to this and you know a dog owner, please share it with them so that they can find out all the amazing things that they can do to help their dogs. And remember, if you are new to the channel and you don't already subscribe or follow on whichever platform you are watching and listening on, please do make sure that you do. And I will see you on the next podcast. Thank you so much. Let me end.